Hi everyone, in today's video I'll be showing you how to make this red panda. Okay, so this is not a beginner's pattern, and I'll be using a cross stitch instead of a single crochet, but I'll refer to it in the video as a single crochet because I get a bit tongue-tied. So all you need is some cotton yarn. I'll be using orange, or you can use a red like this one, some black and white, some stuffing, a 3.5mm hook, some scissors, a yarn needle, and some safety eyes. Okay. I'll also leave a link in the description for how to do the cross stitch and part 2 of the red panda. To start, take your orange yarn, make a slip knot, chain 2, and then go back into the first chain that you made and make 6 single crochets. Okay, in the next row we're going to increase each stitch, so that's 2 single crochets in each stitch. In the next row we're going to increase from 12 to 18. So 1 single crochet in the first stitch and 1 increase in the second stitch. So 2 single crochets in this one. Okay, and that's the pattern until you get back to the stitch marker. 1 single crochet, 1 increase in the next stitch. In the next row we're going to increase from 18 to 24. 1 single crochet in the first stitch, 1 single crochet in the second stitch, and 1 increase in the third stitch. Okay, so that's the pattern until you get back to the stitch marker. 2 single crochets and an increase. Okay, now that we have 24 around, we're going to increase to 30. So 3 single crochets and an increase. So it's 3 single crochets and an increase until you get back to the stitch marker. In the next row, we're going to increase from 30 to 36. Single crochet 4. And an increase. Okay, 4 single crochets and an increase until you get back to the stitch marker. And the next row, we're going to increase from 36 to 42. So single crochet 5. And 1 increase. Okay, 5 single crochets and an increase until you get back to the stitch marker. Okay, now that we've increased to 42, we need to do 4 rows of single crochet, so just 1 in each stitch. Okay, so I'm going to stop the video here and do the 4 rows, and then I'll come back and show you how it looks. Okay, so this is how it looks after my 4 rows of 42. Okay. In the next row, we're going to increase from 42 to 48. So single crochet 6. And 1 increase. Okay, so that's the pattern until we get back to the stitch marker. 6 single crochets and an increase. All right, now that we've increased to 48, and the next row we're going to increase to 54. So single crochet 7. And an increase. Okay, so just do that until you get back to the stitch marker. 7 single crochets and an increase. Okay, so this is how it looks after we've increased to 54. Next we just need to do 4 rows of single crochet, so just 1 in each stitch. Okay, so I'm going to do the 4 rows and then I'll come back and show you how it looks. Okay, so here's how it looks after I've done my 4 rows of 54. In the next row we're going to decrease from 54 to 48. So we're going to do 7 single crochets. And then we're going to do a decrease. So go through the front loop of the first stitch, the front loop of the second stitch, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the last 2. Okay. So 7 single crochets and a decrease until you get back to that stitch marker. So the front loop of the first stitch, front loop of the second stitch, yarn over and pull through 2 loops, yarn over and pull through the last 2. Okay, so now that you've decreased down to 48, you just want to do 1 row of single crochet. So 1 single crochet in each stitch for 1 row. Okay, once you've finished that row, in the next row you want to decrease from 48 to 46. So single crochet 6. And then a decrease. Okay, 6 single crochets and a decrease until you're back at the stitch marker. Okay, so now that we've decreased down to 42, in the next row we're going to decrease to 36. So 5 single crochets. And a decrease. Okay, so 5 single crochets and a decrease for this row. In the next row we're going to decrease from 36 to 30. So single crochet 4. And a decrease. Okay, 4 single crochets and a decrease for this row. Okay, so this is how it looks once we've decreased to 30. In the next row, we're going to decrease to 24. So 3 single crochets. And a decrease. Okay, now that we've decreased to 24, in the next row we're going to decrease to 18. So 2 single crochets and a decrease. Okay, so now that we've decreased down to 18, that's how our head should look. Next I'm going to add the eyes. So it is 12 rows down. So it should be, so just between the 2 decrease rows that we did. So just 12 rows down. And I have 5 gaps, 5 spaces in between. Okay, so now that I have my eyes attached, I'm going to do 2 rows of single crochet. So 2 rows of 18, and then I'm going to stuff the head. Okay. Okay, so that's how my head looks. So it's the head and the 2 rows of 18 as my neck. And I've mostly stuffed it. So once you've done your 2 rows of 18, in the next row you need to increase to 24. So you want to do 2 single crochets and an increase. Okay, 2 single crochets and an increase until you get back to the stitch marker. Okay, now that I've increased to 24, I'm going to do 1 row of single crochet. So just 1 in each stitch for 1 row. Okay, once you've single crocheted 24 around, in the next row you need to increase to 30. So 3 single crochets and an increase. Okay, now that we've increased to 30, we just need to do 2 rows of single crochet. Okay, so just 1 in each stitch for 2 rows. Okay. I'll do that and come back and show you how it looks. Okay, once you've done your 2 rows of 30, in the next row you want to increase to 36. So 4 single crochets and an increase. Okay, now that we've increased to 36, you need to do 2 rows of single crochet again. So just 1 in each stitch for 2 rows. Okay, so here's how it looks after my 2 rows of 36. In the next row we need to increase to 42. So 5 single crochets and an increase. Okay, now that we've increased to 42, in the next row we're going to increase to 48. So 6 single crochets and an increase. Okay, so now that we've increased to 48, I'm going to stop the video here and we're going to do 8 rows of 48. Okay, so just 1 in each stitch for 8 rows. Okay, so here's how it looks after my 8 rows of 48. Okay, so in the next row you want to decrease to 42. So 6 single crochets. And a decrease. Okay, so 6 single crochets and a decrease until you get back to the stitch marker. Okay, and once you've decreased to 42, in the next row you just want to do 1 single crochet in each stitch. Okay, so just single crochet 42. Okay, so once we've decreased to 42 and we've done 1 row of single crochet around, and the next row we want to decrease to 36. So 5 single crochets and a decrease. So now that we've decreased to 36, and the next row we're just going to single crochet around. So just 1 in each stitch for 1 row. Once we've single crochet 36 around, and the next row we're going to decrease to 30. So single crochet 4. And a decrease. Okay, 4 single crochets and a decrease for this row. In the next row we're going to decrease from 30 to 24. Single crochet 3. And a decrease. Okay, so 3 single crochets and a decrease for this row. Okay, so once I finished decreasing to 24, I finished stuffing it. So I put a bit more in the head and I've made sure the neck is stuffed. Okay, so now we're going to decrease to 18. So 2 single crochets and a decrease for this row. Now that I've decreased to 18, I'm going to decrease to 12. So it's just one single crochet and one decrease. Okay, so now that I've decreased to 12 and I've finished stuffing it, I just need to decrease each stitch. So you should end up with 6. And this bit's always really fiddly. Okay, so once you've done that fiddly last row of decreases, you just want to cut the yarn, pull it through, and then you just want to thread the tail through the front loops of the last 6 stitches. Okay, and pull it tight. Okay, so that's part 1 of the red panda. And I'll leave a link in the description for part 2. Also let me know if you want a third video for how to stitch all the parts on. Okay, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.